I'm Ellen Brown, President of the Rotary Club of Harrisburg. We're part of an international community and humanitarian service organization comprised of 1.4 million members in over 44,000 clubs in more than 200 countries. Rotary leads the world in volunteer service. For more than 112 years, the Rotary Club of Harrisburg has organized impactful local service projects that changes lives and creates hope where it's needed most. Please join us at a Rotary luncheon at the Hilton, service on a Monday, or a Rotary alternate meeting to meet our members who are waiting to welcome you. You can find out more about us at hbgrotary.org. Please like, comment, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. We hope to welcome you as a member soon.
It is my honor to introduce David Cohen. David was recently hired as the president and CEO of the Jewish Federation of Greater Harrisburg. We were involved in the search team, and he really was very impressive, and he's doing a great job changing everything and moving forward with the community. He comes to us from Boston with more than 25 years of leadership. In addition to his recent work with the Jewish Community Relations Council in Boston, Massachusetts, as the Jewish Community Relations Council Director, he also served in numerous other nonprofits and has experience in summer camps, after-school camps. Various leadership and challenging opportunities has been part of his background. Originally, he was, when asked to speak a few weeks ago, that was before the tragedy in October. So a little spin on also discussion today. He will give an update on the campus and also kind of fill us in on what's going on throughout our community and also the whole road community. Maybe you might remember a couple months ago, Abby Smith, board chair, spoke about the campus and the excitement. I encourage you to go by and see it. Say they're still getting things ready and moving in. But it's my honor to introduce my friend and CEO, David Cohen.
Thank you, everyone. Honored to be here today, so thank you very much for the invite. And as Chris said, when actually Chris and I think Ryan spoke to me, we're going around with dates, and it was possibly November, early November, is possibly December, and for a lot of reasons, I just chose December. And I think, as Chris said, had no idea what I was going to be saying today when I chose that date. I will say this, my last time in a room like this, I think with the Rotary Club, was in 7th grade when I was actually awarded the top boy student in my grade. Thank you. With a scholarship, and of course it's been downhill ever since, so thank you. But I am going to take you on a little bit of a ride today. How could I not? You know, I walked around saying hi to people, and this is a place where you're talking about partnership, you're talking about fellowship, brotherhood, sisterhood, working together. So I can't come in here and completely dash any kind of concept of the future and the positive. That being said, I'm going to do a little bit of both. You might leave here today and go, geez, that was a little serious. But I'm going to have to. And here's why. Thinking about partnership, and I think even our invocation talked about it. What are we here for? We're here to learn from each other, be here for each other, support each other in this community. For me, and I think our organization and our community, that's part of what today is. As you probably, if you were here, heard Abby Smith talk about, we are on the verge of something amazing in our community. This move to the new grass campus, with which we want to partner with all of you in any way we can, is amazing. The entire reason we are doing this is because of the potential opportunities it provides for the community at large and ours, of course. But I also want to tell you that my community members daily, ever since October 7th, have been asking me, people like Chris, people like Judith, what are you doing? Who are you talking to? I want to know what you're doing to try to change people's opinions, to inform them. So I do have to do a little bit of both today, to do my duty as a community leader in the Jewish community and talk about partnership, fellowship, and leave some time for you actually to process and ask me some questions. And that's actually right where I'm going to start. Who is the Jewish community? What do we do? Well, I'm going to start there because on a daily basis, we are, and we're not unique completely in this, we're wrestling with this. There's the bright future, and then there's some stuff every day that we deal with that isn't great, and it's hard, and it's complex. And every single day, whether it's my job or my life or our lives in the Jewish community, that's what we do. And we're used to it. I want to be clear about this. I'm not coming here saying things to you that for 25 years, I've been working with college students, community members on the glorious and the wonderful, and the really messy, and sometimes the icky. It's what we do. I also want to acknowledge that you heard Chris talk about my work in the community relations field. We are all about reaching out to interfaith partners, communities of different cultures that we can partner with, and we do regularly. I am not going to stand up here and say that the Jewish community isn't experiencing a golden age of philanthropy, of engagement with the wider community, because we are. And at the same time, rates of anti-Semitism are the highest they've been in decades. How do we wrestle with that? I also am going to acknowledge that that golden age puts me in a position of privilege that I would never go into a conversation with another community and not acknowledge. We do not have the same experiences as other people that we partner with, that we come to their side when something happens, whether it is Asian hate, whether it is racism against any individual from any background. And our organizations were built to do just that. If you haven't heard of it, the Anti-Defamation League, a huge organization in the Jewish community. What do they do on a daily basis? They fight bias, racism, and bigotry against any individual, including the Jewish community, but everybody else. I made a comment a few weeks ago. Again, my partner in my work, Judith Hadara, talked to me about putting an event together after October 7th, when over 1,500 individuals of Jewish and other backgrounds in Israel were killed, and when over 250 hostages were taken. I had to say that, because I have to put that on the table. And I can't promise you in this ride that I'm not going to break down, because I am. But Judith came to me and she said, let's do something about this. Let's bring people's attention to it because it's horrible. And during that talk, I mentioned you all have organizations you work with that have origin stories. The origin story of the Jewish Federation system, which are philanthropic organizations and programmatic organizations that work all over the United States to help the Jewish community have a voice and to form relationships just like this. Someone has to stand up here and say, well, I don't speak for every Jewish person, but I speak for a large segment of the Jewish community. That's generally the CEO of federations in most communities. When the news was calling people after October 7th, they were calling rabbis, they were calling me, and we did the best we could. But in that origin story at that event, I said, hard as it is to hear, the Jewish Federation system was born the day after Kristallnacht, which was an event in Germany that was, in a sense, the beginnings of the reality of the Holocaust, where Germans stampeded through the streets, beating, looting stores owned by Jews. And that was, I want to be clear, that was not the first indication. It was the culmination of many indications that if you didn't leave, you're in big trouble. Many people left. My great-grandparents left where they lived at the turn of the century. So they got out about 30 years right at the right time. I want to be clear about that. Many of us come from that region, and we're here because our great-grandparents left about 30, 40 years when they were supposed to. Turn of the century, 1920, 1929, little too late. The day after Kristallnacht, organizations got together and said, we can't let this stand. We have to do something. And the idea was hatched for the Jewish Federation system. Smaller organizations came together to form the organization I now lead. So here's where I want to just talk a little bit about this. What is it that community members are asking me to do? What is it that I want to say to you in addition to talking about the bright future our community has that I need to say? And this is what I need to say. October 7th was the worst day of the Jewish calendar since the Holocaust. How do you say that in 2023? I don't know. I don't know how you say that. Here's what I do know. I'm going to talk a little bit today about, well, what are we doing and what do we do now? But I have to stop there and say it again. There's still over 120 people in captivity. I'm sure you've been reading the news. That many have been released. You also know what happened. I don't want to get into the gory details, but I have to say it. Murder and other things done to women, children, grandparents. How do you, again, sit with that in 2020? Here is what I'm being asked, however. So many people in many communities around Harrisburg came to us in partnership, and we couldn't be more grateful to them. Everyone in this room, I consider you a partner, and if you have questions for me after this talk, please come up and ask, because I am both going to talk about the moment we're in and the future. And the moment we're in is this. There is a level of fright and distrust of the wider community that is unprecedented. What is happening in the country right now, many of us knew would happen. It doesn't make it any easier. And I'm asking for your help. I'm asking for your help if you hear something, to counter it, to say something about it, to help us deal with misinformation and disinformation about the Jewish community and about the place we feel so connected to, which is Israel. I have to pause there for a second to say, how do we communicate to people what Israel means to us, but also have them understand that it isn't us? We don't live there. We're not citizens of Israel. We consider the global Jewish community all one community. And we're like cousins. We have fights every once in a while. We don't agree on everything, just like everyone else in this room who has different communities they work with. But definitely at times like this, you're one family. And we are. And in this moment, more than others, we do feel connected to and responsible for what's going on there. And I want to be clear about this. Does that mean you should accost me in the street and hold me accountable for a war? I don't think so. But I do know this. Here's what I'm going to say. What I need your help in is understanding a little bit. Now, wasn't meant to be an international relations talk, but it has to be, because it's coming to our doorsteps in Harrisburg. It's coming to our doorsteps all around the country. If I didn't have the examples from this week, I'd still have plenty. 10 cities around the country. Cities refusing to have menorah lighting ceremonies for the Hanukkah holiday that's coming up, because they feel that would be an endorsement by their community of the war. That's outrageous. This idea that you can't express yourself publicly as a Jew because of a war. I get questions daily. We run in our organization an early learning center as well as a Jewish day school. Parents are asking, should we have signs about Israel outside? Is that dangerous? Aren't we risking the lives of our kids? Well, yeah, but think about that for a second again. 2023, We can't have signs on our lawn that simply say we stand with Israel for fear of violent attack, not just someone driving by and saying something or an email. After October 7th, should I tell you how many emailed bomb threats our organizations had? It's kind of disheartening, but that's the case. So what does this all mean? What does it all mean? Again, not here to give an international relations lesson, but here's what I do need to say. I work in Israel regularly. I work with Palestinians on a daily basis, and I have a network of hundreds of Israelis and Jews just like me who have a network of hundreds, if not thousands, of Palestinians we work with daily to bring peace to that region. The people that perpetrated October 7th are not those people. I'm going to use words like Hamas, terrorists. It is what it is. I want to be clear. People protesting in America have no idea what they are talking about. We all want peace. We all want to work with our Palestinian neighbors. That's not who did October 7th. And I want to be clear, as hard as it is for me to hear and say in this group, people, politicians, and everyday activists are celebrating October 7th. Didn't happen right away. It's too tough then. You couldn't come out and say things like that. But we all knew just a few weeks later it would start. And now it's at a crescendo. October 7th, justified. October 7th, you should have known it was coming if you just did this or just did that. No idea what they're talking about, and it gets worse. October 7th didn't happen. It's a hoax. You know that language. You know, we're in the country of hoaxes right now. Everything's a hoax. Not only that, the IDF did it. It's real. It's out there. I wouldn't be saying it if it wasn't. And again, I'm asking for your help. If you hear things like that, say something. It is not the truth. And why am I'm asking you to do our work for us? No, because every conversation like that does not get stopped, it's coming to our doorstep. It's the next conversation we have where we feel, and these were all my quotes after October 7th, when we felt support from the government, from friends, we felt like we belonged. We felt like we're just any other part of the community. Today, doesn't feel quite like that. I also want to be clear. A lot of these things happen in the hotbeds around the country we know they do, whether it's San Francisco, New York, DC. But you know the world is a smaller place now. One click, everything is at your doorstep. So we have kids hearing this for the first time, some in their lives, this prevalence of conspiracy theories about Jews. Now, here's where I want to get to one more. There's a funny story that a prime minister of Israel said once. Her name was Tzipi Livni. She said, you know, conspiracy theories about Jews are pretty horrible, especially those ones where it says we run the world, we have all this power, we control everything. She said it's bad, unless you're sitting across the negotiating table from someone from the Middle East. Then it can be somewhat valuable. And I only say that because in many times throughout our histories as a Jewish community, and I say this, I want to be clear, I say this to people and then they push back at me, we have to be careful. We have to be careful because of that conspiracy theory. We can't appear to be so forceful when we're asking, as by the way, any individual or group in a democracy can, when we're asking for things from our friends, from politicians, from elected officials, because if we're too forceful, the conspiracy theory comes out. So where does that leave us? We have to be careful. Can't ask for too much or else people think we run the world. Imagine that as a conundrum. But now, at times like these, we don't care. There's a great quote I have from Golda Meir, like, if what it takes for me to get my job done is that I'm not popular and people don't like me, I'm gonna get the job done. So here's what I'm saying to you. Because the forces that are so distorting the situation over there are so strong. Whoever can help us in this scenario, help us. And that means if a colleague of yours stands up and says words like genocide, ethnic cleansing is happening, I just disagree with that. And here's why. I told you how much work I do with Palestinians. Is everything perfect? Nope. But has anything ever like October 7th been perpetrated in the last 50 years against a Palestinian population? The answer is no. The answer is no. The answer is no. My colleagues know this. For some reason, people in the United States who have their own version of history don't. So politicians, senators, congresspeople get up and say things like there's a genocide happening. I don't like war. I don't love it at all. But I do know that if this is a genocide, then everything's a genocide. I also want to be clear. Every time something happens in Israel where they feel like they have to retaliate, what do we have to do? Be very careful, very reserved. We cannot wipe out the force that is opposing us 10 miles away. Because if we do, genocide, ethnic cleansing. You can't fight a war to win it. And I'm just going to say after October 7th, that's what's happening. They are fighting a war to win. Will they win? I don't know, but that's what they're trying to do. And I say consistently on my side of the ocean, I cannot second guess my cousins over there because I don't live there. But I can guarantee you something. If I did, if you did, you'd be supporting the same exact thing if an October 7th happened to your community. So that's what I'm asking for. I'm asking you to ask me questions after this, to call me after this. I don't expect everyone to understand Middle East politics at the snap of a finger. But I'm asking that you support our community in this country that doesn't deserve what is happening to them right now. And how are we going to do this? Like I said, I'm going to take you on this ride because that was pretty serious. And I know it was, but I would totally have been shirking my responsibility as a leader in this community right now if I didn't come at you directly with those asks, with those requests, with that information, with my take on something that is horrendous and something my community is experiencing that you can all help with. But there is a future. The future is bright. I am going to do this in every setting that I can, and at the same time, I'm going to say things to you like, we have this amazing new campus we're moving to, not just to move to a campus, not for a better business, but for more vibrant community. I also said at that event, the only thing we can do in the face of this is have conversations like this and push forward. Push forward with life, push forward with creating community, push forward with creating partnerships with all of you, because that's how we win. That's how we all win. We're all in this together. The forces that are in that region don't like you too. They don't like anyone in this room. Reverend Harris stood up at our vigil and he said, his dad told him a story when he was a kid. He said, son, whoever hates Jews hates you too. I think that was probably one of the more memorable comments at that vigil. That allyship moment where we were realizing that hate is universal, but we also know love is as well. It's the thing that's going to carry us forward. We have to deal with this every day with new security measures that we never had to deal with before, but we're doing that so we can push forward, so that we can bring more celebration, more life, more learning, more education to our community through this wonderful new campus. And I'm going to ask you, I've already asked you to be with us, to support us in this moment of strife, frankly. I'm also going to say to you, we're not done. Let's partner together. I invite you to learn more about our community, about the campus we're creating and how that is going to spring life as well into the greater Harrisburg community, not just the Jewish community. And my last comment is this. I told you I was going to take you on a little bit of a ride. I told you were going to leave here going, geez, that was a little serious. I hope I didn't disappoint, because I need to go home and tell my people that I did come here and I said what I needed to say. But I also want to remind you, I am very cognizant. This is a golden age, and it can be. We will get through this moment. With your help, we'll get through it even better. And I hope that with all of your support, all of your partnership, together, our Jewish community and our Harrisburg business community and wider community will flourish. And again, this is about education, partnership, and learning. So if anything I said today struck you as a little off, or you don't understand a piece of it, or you disagree with a piece of it, I'm okay with that. Come up and ask me a question. The other stuff is sometimes what happens, unfortunately, the name calling, I know exactly what that is, and I'm going to say it. I'm going to put it on social media. I'm going to say it at this town meeting. That's the tough part. Conversation, I'm glad to have. I'd be glad to have a coffee with any of you after this and tell you whatever you want to know about our community or the situation. And like I said, I hope I did a little bit of both today, which is talk about the glorious future, but talk about a real situation we find ourselves in that we can use all of your help in. So thank you very much. And I'm here for a few questions if you have them.
Thank you for being here. Welcome to the community. What do you think it would take to arrive at a two-state solution?
Well, first of all, I don't think that too much in this job is beyond my pay grade. That's one of them. But no, seriously, if I had an answer for that, I'd have a Nobel Peace Prize. But what I will say is this, there's many people that want that. And I'm going to ask you, I can send all of you information on organizations that are working on that every day. The phrase that I use is called shared society. There is no political solution to that question. We need to build some serious trust on the ground between two peoples that don't trust each other to lay the groundwork for a better future. Now, the problem with that answer is it's not quick. It's not going to happen overnight. And it leaves out the issue of extremists who don't want anything like that. I want to be clear, people that perpetrated October 7th want nothing to do with two states. They just want us not to be there anymore. I've said consistently, you can disagree with a checkpoint, you can disagree with a home demolition. I still don't think any of that ever should equal an October 7th. So I don't have an answer for you. I have some answers that are better than others. And I just know that I would love people who are protesting and sending nasty emails to understand not everyone wants that. And those people, they're not going to be removed from the equation, but the more people can understand they should be, and we'll talk honestly about that and not call them freedom fighters, the better our community will feel, and I think the better the whole world will be. Thanks.
David, I want to, excuse me, go back to your earliest comments about the importance of partnerships between the Jewish community, the Jewish Federation, and the broader community here in the central Pennsylvania, because I'm a great believer in that, as you already know, and many people here know. Our organization, Historic Harrisburg, has done all kinds of things, joint programming with the old Jewish Community Center under your predecessor, Jen Ross, and we look forward to doing even more at the new Grass campus, which we're already involved in, and we think that's going to be such a tremendous asset to central Pennsylvania, far beyond what people even can begin to visualize. And I know it's just going to be extraordinary once that's completely up and running. So we look forward to many opportunities, and I hope all the organizations in Harrisburg will do the same because it will enrich all of us.
Thank you. And I know that wasn't a question there, but I am going to just say, look, for people that don't remember Abby's speech, what I think David was talking about also was about 75% of our population served is actually from the non-Jewish community currently. We hope that expands with the new campus, and it expands with conference space, meeting space. If that parking number ever goes up a little too high, give us a call, because that's why we're building this. That's why we're moving over there, is to make sure we can host organizations just like you. And I want to be clear, one part of my job in terms of advocacy is coming to you. The other piece is you coming to us, coming to our campus, walking around, seeing what we're all about. That is the only way that multiple peoples get to know each other. And that is one, in my mind, one of the other amazing benefits of this new campus. Any other questions? Okay. As I said, if not, you have my information forwarded. I have some cards to pass out. Be more than glad to have some coffees with all of you, answering questions on the more somber parts of my talk or the more opportunistic parts of my talk. So thank you very much.
Thanks.